Hey, it's Kat Bambini, Peace Point Productions, and today I'm going to take a break from the Twin Flame Connection for a little bit and talk about self-care and narcissism. It's a tender topic for narcissists because narcissists don't like you to take care of yourself. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a couple of narcissists in your life who have told you that you spend too much time on yourself, that you're self-obsessed, that you need to focus more on them. Think about it for a second. Has this happened to you? Definitely has happened to me. Most of my life, I thought that I had to be giving to narcissists, that I was supposed to fulfill their needs, and that I was selfish and disobedient and doing the wrong thing by not giving to them. Meanwhile, my health was in the shitter, and I was super tired and angry and just not feeling like I was living my life purpose. If you've watched any of my other videos, you probably know a lot more, but just giving a little recap for the newbies. And just want to add some tips. So I started doing massive self-care towards the end of a relationship where I would do yin yoga in the morning and have a little routine where I would do my poetry in the morning as well before work, and started to really build a sense of self away from that relationship. And I found in that period of time, and then as I left, after I left and had tried different ways of having a routine or not having a routine, that having a routine was really, really helpful in healing from narcissistic abuse. And so this is specifically to people who are healing from narcissistic abuse or in a relationship with a narcissist and are not feeling like they're taking enough care of themselves, and they don't know how to get healthier, especially with somebody constantly attacking them and putting them down and all this. So you can take better care of yourself even in the midst of those relationships. You can start by taking the space that you have for yourself. Say it's a commute on the way to work. You could start listening to tapes about how to improve your life. You could listen to courses, start taking classes where you can listen to tapes, and just do little things to make yourself move along. I started listening to podcasts because I felt so trapped at work and at home that I was listening to podcasts in the morning. I would listen to the Super Soul Sunday by Oprah. It really gave me a lot of hope. And just little things like that started to tweak my day. And I was still very stressed. I still had a lot going on. I still felt like the straw was gonna break, and it did break. There's only so much you can do, but I also added yoga. Yoga started to be a little space away from that. Started doing it in the morning for about an hour, get up early and do it right away. And then I do it at night before bed, and that actually gave me some time away. And then I would go to a pole dancing studio for about 4 years. I started going pole dancing, and it became my safe haven away from everything. So I paid for a year membership, and there were classes every night. I would go sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. So on the weekends I would go for 2 hours, and it became a group where I could hang out with other girls, and we would learn how to do tricks and just tell each other that we were good at stuff, which was just a far cry from what was going on in my daily life at work and other places. And lest I give away too many personal details about recent events in my life, I won't. I just wanted to add a couple other self-care tips. One thing I started doing towards the end of a situation that I had to leave was meditation. As I mentioned, I started training with a meditation instructor on the campus I was working at, and he was trained in Jungian psychology, and he taught me about the chakras and all of the archetypes that we tune into before we get to a kind of ascended state where we're above all that, because the archetypes are, anyways, I could talk all day about all that stuff, but I started meditating to Gregorian chanting or just bells, just Tibetan bells, and that really helped. I know it sounds crazy, but it really helped me focus my mind. And I had a dream about mentioning this on here, so I think it's probably relevant to somebody. And if you want to know, it was Karma Moffett was the Karma, and Moffett, I believe, is the artist who made the bells that I listened to for about 2 years when I was learning to meditate. They were just very basic bells, and my meditation instructor also had some online meditations, but it had a Catholic bent, and so anybody who's not into Catholicism would not like that link, but I just ignored it. And I like the saints and all the angels and all that stuff, so that kind of helped. But all of these self-care tips that I'm mentioning, they really help you to build a strong sense of self so that you have a way to have an identity away from the narcissist, where you're not feeling like the narcissist is your complete world and you have to look to the narcissist for everything, because that's what they want, is you to look to them for everything and for you to be defective. They don't want you to heal, they want you to be sick. Maybe you're not even sick and they're calling you sick. That's very common. So it's very good to have these things in place so that you are healthy and there's nothing that can contest that. You know that they're just crazy making and they're pointing out something that's not true, and so you have your little Zen oasis in the middle of the storm. So I would have yoga in the morning and my coffee, my podcast on the way to work, and then work was a haven a lot of the time until I started having some issues there with sexual harassment. So that became not my haven, but I would go meditate in the chapel, and that was one place I could go to get away until until I was told I was meditating too much. And it really did help with my work. They didn't understand that, the new boss didn't, but it was my way away from him too, because there were some issues, which I reported, but whatever, neither here nor there. I'm not gonna look backwards and whatevs. TMI. So the best things you can do are to adopt like a yoga in the morning, some routine that you can rely on, because your routine is what you're going to rely on when everything is going topsy-turvy, and they're going to try to mess up your routine. But I found that the narcissists in my life would respect the routine because I didn't allow any room for them in that routine. It was just something I did. It wasn't something they could contest. So there was yoga, the podcast, meditation on my lunch break. I'd go on walks, if I could, get away from the desk just to clear my head, especially if I was dealing with a narcissist at work. I definitely wouldn't go on walks with them. There are a couple that I've met throughout my work years, and there's been quite a few work years, but there's been quite a few that would sidle up and try to get information, and, I would tell them everything. I used to be I just thought everybody was my best friend, and that wasn't the case. So be very, very careful about who you give your information to. You can watch Narcissists and the Truth for, more on that, not telling the truth to narcissists, which is, I know it's hard not to tell the truth, but just don't tell them what's going on, because they will use that information against you. So I just want to add, like, yoga practice or exercise practice, your self-care routines that they can't get in the way of, and that will make you have a sense of stability that you can build from, and a foundation that once you do leave, or if you do have to stay in it, you just have somewhere to go where you can sorry about that sound out there, it's always noisy here because it's the city, but anyways, I was gonna pad my closet, but it turned into my bed closet. So, because it's an extra room, right, and it fits my bed. That's how it is in San Francisco. It's like a studio, but that makes it an extra room. So anyways, that makes it worth it, whatever, all the noise that you hear. I'm sorry about that. You probably hear all the sirens and everything all the time too, but that's part of the being live here in San Francisco. So the universe kind of told me to throw out some self-care tips, and I would say definitely meditation, and I can point you some directions if you'd like, if you ask in the comments. And also, yoga is really good. Yin yoga I mentioned specifically because it's good for trauma victims, because it doesn't really push you to the point that you would get aggro. Like, I've read research that says if you have PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, that exercise is one of the best solutions for it. It's not a cure, but it just keeps you in the flow. It keeps you from freaking out on other people, because people with PTSD know this, that you can kind of snap on other people without really realizing it, and you can become the problem too. Like, you become like the abuser or whatever happened to you. And a good way is to do exercise, but I found I did a lot of exercise in the past. I did kettlebell training, like the Russian kind of kettlebell training for years, and I got certified as a trainer. And then I also did a lot of heavy weightlifting, stuff like that. And I finally found that yin yoga was the best method for me, because it's very slow, and it gets in all your fascia. It's your emotional body. and that's where you hold all of the memories. So you have to be ready to deal with it. But if you go slow, and you can, there's an app called Alo, A-L-O. I started doing that for the yoga practice at home, so that I didn't have to go to the studio. Although some people like to go to the studio to get somebody to show them what to do. And so I keep that in mind, because I did go for years to yoga studios, and they did teach me how to do yoga, and so I knew how to do it based on that. Could use the app. But I still think anybody can. You can get a mirror and you can look at your posture. I mean, go to a yoga class like once in a while just to get checked up, because they will kind of, but be careful about teachers, because they can be very like aggressive and they can be very off. You have to know your own body. I know that I've hurt my body at like Bikram yoga studios and stuff, so I don't go to those. I don't like them yelling at me or pressuring me, and I don't like it being super hot. So you just keep in mind your own body. And like, you know, I had a suggestion from I have a tarot spirit guide, and I do tarot and for fun, and she was saying that oh, I forgot. Oh, to make a list of like, so I'm gonna give her a tip out, a list of all the things that you would like to do for like exercise, because I think that's one of the main things we should keep in mind here with this pandemic, and like, you know, keeping yourself sane. Like different things you might like doing, like would you like bicycle riding? Would you like kickboxing? Like make a list and then just try one of them. Try a fun new thing, you know, and that's a way to get away from them for a while too. And also, if you have that regularly, like when I had the pole dancing studio, like I just had a place to go to have a safe space to just, you know, have some space, because you don't fight as much in a relationship if you have space, usually, ideally, right? If you have some space, when you see each other, it's more exciting. So if you have things that make you happy and that you're involved in, like getting up in the morning, and I just learned from Mary Morrissey, she's also a financial spiritual advisor woman, and she's very successful, and at least financially, if you define success in that way, I don't, but that's part of success, is being, you know, financially independent, right? So anyway, she was saying that 5 things that successful people do are they get up earlier. So I just started getting up earlier myself. It was like I was getting up at like 2, and then I went to 12, and now I'm at like 6, right? And that's ideal for me. So at 6 you get up and you listen to something inspiring. That's one thing. Write a list of 5 things you're grateful for. That's another. What else did she say? She had a, dang it, off the top of my head. Meditate for like right away when you get up for like 3 to 5 minutes. And then write out what your day is going to be. Like, what are you going to be in this day ahead? How are you going to approach it? What is it going to feel like? That was the other one. And then there's one I'm missing. I can't remember. But it was just basically general, like, you can have your 5 things that you do in the morning. So it's like, for her, it was like, get up earlier. That was 1. You know, write a gratitude list. That was 2. Listen to something inspiring. That was 3. Write in your journal. That was 4. And then whatever the 5th one was, I'll remember probably by the next one of these when I'm not winging it. I'll remember right when I turn this off, but I'm gonna leave it imperfect, because that's part of my MO, is to show you that you can be imperfect as a human being. You can be imperfect. Narcissists do not want you to be perfect. I'm imperfect. They want you to be perfect in their way, so that you can serve their needs, right? But you're not here to serve their needs, you're here to serve your own. So if they say you're doing too much self-care, they're probably wrong. Don't listen to them. There's no such thing. You can't take care of yourself too much. The more you take care of yourself, the more you're going to spread love to other people, and you're going to have good energy for other people to take, and it's going to be better for everybody all around. It's not selfish. Like, what the hell? Especially if you're a woman, it's always, you're told you're selfish. Oh my God, you're vain or you're selfish if you're taking care of yourself. I'm sorry, no. You're vain or you're selfish if you're putting other people before yourself and not taking care of yourself. Think about it. You can't do anything for other people unless you can take care of yourself. So anyways, yeah, that was for any psychic vampires. All right,